Commander Ralph scrolled through the intelligence reports on his data tablet while his flagship cut through the darkness between stars. The Drexian Empire had conquered 47 systems in the last 2 centuries. Every species they encountered either surrendered or got crushed. Simple mathematics governed the universe, and the Drexians had always been superior at math. The holographic display showed a yellow star with 8 planets and 1 inhabited world. Preliminary scans revealed primitive satellites orbiting the 3rd planet. The inhabitants called it Earth. Their technology seemed centuries behind galactic standards. Fusion drives that barely achieved light speed. Kinetic weapons that belonged in a museum. Radio transmissions that leaked into space like children shouting in the dark. Navigator Pell approached from the sensor station. Her scales showed patterns of concern, something Ralph had learned to recognize after 15 years of service together. She carried a data pad and her movements seemed hesitant. "Commander, we need to discuss the warning broadcasts," Pell said. Ralph waved his hand dismissively. "Another primitive attempt at psychological warfare. We have seen this before." "Sir, the warnings are not coming from the planet. They originate from the system's outer edge, near the 9th planet's orbit. The technology required to maintain that broadcast network is far beyond what our scans show Earth possesses." Ralph stood and moved to the main viewport. 200 Drexian warships flew in perfect formation around his flagship. The Dominion's edge measured 3 kilometers from bow to stern. Every ship in his fleet could reduce a continent to ash. Fear was a tool, and the Drexians wielded it expertly. "Play the warning," Ralph commanded. The bridge speakers crackled. A flat, emotionless voice spoke in perfect Drexian language. "Turn back. This is your only notice. Proceed at your own extinction." Several bridge officers exchanged glances. The warning repeated in 17 different galactic languages. Each translation was flawless. Each voice held the same cold certainty. "They translated our language perfectly," Pell observed. "That requires either significant interaction with our people or computational power we have not detected." Ralph felt a slight unease creep into his thoughts, but he crushed it immediately. Hesitation bred defeat. The Drexian military code demanded absolute confidence. Perhaps they captured one of our scout ships years ago. Perhaps they purchased translation software from traders. It does not matter. 200 warships answer all questions. The fleet advanced. Neptune, the 8th planet, grew larger in their view screens. The blue ice giant hung in space like a jewel. Ralph had seen 1,000 worlds. Beauty meant nothing. Resources and strategic value determined worth. "Crossing the warning boundary now," the helmsman announced. Nothing happened. The ships continued forward. Ralph allowed himself a small smile. Empty threats from primitive species always followed the same pattern. Big warnings, no substance. "Sir," the communications officer spoke up, "we have lost contact with the rear guard." Ralph turned sharply. "Clarify." "Ships 37 through 51, 15 vessels. They are simply gone from all our sensors." The bridge fell silent. Pell moved quickly to the tactical station. Her claws danced across the controls. "Confirmed. No distress signals, no energy signatures, no debris. They vanished from our tracking systems 4 seconds ago." "Sensor malfunction," Ralph said, but his voice carried less certainty. "Run full diagnostics." "Systems are functioning normally," the sensor technician reported. "I am reviewing the last recorded data from those ships." Everyone watched as the tactical display showed the final moments. 15 Drexian warships flew in formation. Then they simply ceased to exist. No explosions. No weapon signatures. One moment they occupied space, the next moment they did not. "This is impossible," Ralph whispered. Another alarm sounded. The communications officer looked up with wide eyes. "Sir, we just lost 20 more ships, forward left flank." Pell's scales turned pale. "Commander, we need to retreat immediately." Pride warred with survival instinct in Ralph's mind. The Drexian Empire did not retreat, but the Drexian Empire did not lose 35 ships to absolutely nothing either. He opened his mouth to give the retreat order when the communications officer held up one hand. "Sir, we received a partial transmission from Ship 42 before it vanished. Playing now." Static filled the bridge, then a voice, distorted and frantic. "They are not there. Nothing is there. It is like space itself is eating us. The sensors show empty void, but something is taking us and we cannot see it, and there is no defense against nothing." And the transmission ended in more static. Ralph felt something he had not experienced in decades: pure, primitive fear. His people had evolved past such emotions, or so they claimed, but evolution could not prepare anyone for impossible situations. "Full stop," he ordered. "Battle formation, shields maximum." The fleet obeyed. 165 ships remained from the original 200. They had not even seen the enemy yet. Pell studied her sensors. "Commander, I am detecting spatial anomalies, very faint. They surround us on all sides except the path toward Earth." A trap, Ralph realized. They herded us into a killing box. "Orders, sir." Ralph had two choices: retreat through whatever invisible nightmare had taken his ships, or push forward toward the primitive planet that somehow controlled this impossible defense. Neither option seemed favorable, but moving forward at least gave them a visible target. "Full speed ahead," Ralph commanded. "All ships, maximum velocity, we punch through to Earth." The fleet surged forward. Ralph gripped the railing of his command platform. Behind them, space held invisible teeth. Ahead, a blue and green planet waited. Somewhere between here and there, humanity had built something that defied every law of warfare the galaxy knew. 3 more ships vanished as the fleet accelerated. Then 7 more. The count continued to drop as they raced toward Earth, and Commander Ralph wondered if he had just given the order that would doom them all. The Drexian warships tore through space at maximum burn. Every few seconds another vessel disappeared from formation. Ralph watched the tactical display with growing horror as his fleet dissolved like ice in fire. 165 ships, then 150, then 132. Pell worked frantically at her station. "I am detecting massive structures around us. They phase in and out of our sensor range. Whatever technology they use, it operates outside normal space." "Can we target them?" Ralph demanded. "Negative. When our weapons lock on, the structures shift out of phase. They exist and do not exist simultaneously." A science officer spoke up from his station. "Commander, I have analyzed the disappearances. The ships are not being destroyed." Everyone turned to look at him. The young Drexian looked terrified but held his ground. "The energy signatures are wrong for destruction. There should be matter conversion, radiation scatter, heat bloom. We see none of that. The ships are being moved." "Moved where?" Ralph asked. "I cannot determine destination, but the method appears to be quantum displacement. The ships are being relocated to different coordinates, instantaneously." Ralph felt his blood chill. Quantum displacement was theoretical. The mathematics worked on paper but required power sources that did not exist. Building one displacement device would strain an empire's resources, but sensors showed thousands of structures surrounding them. Another wave of ships vanished. The count dropped to 87. "Distance to Earth?" Ralph asked. 40 million kilometers, the helmsman reported. So close. They had crossed most of the system only to be picked apart like prey. Ralph made a decision he knew would haunt him forever. Broadcast surrender on all frequencies, all languages. The communications officer hesitated, then obeyed. The message went out. Silence answered. The automated warning continued its endless loop. "Turn back. This is your only notice. Proceed at your own extinction." "They are not responding," Pell said quietly. "Then what do they want?" Ralph shouted. "We surrender." More ships vanished. 63 remained. The structures around them seemed to multiply. Ralph could see them now on visual displays, shimmering like heat mirages, massive rings of dark metal that his mind refused to properly focus on. They existed at the edge of perception, there and not there. "The system is automated," the science officer said. "I do not believe anyone is controlling it. The defense grid operates on predetermined parameters. We crossed the boundary. We ignored the warning. Now it processes us." Processed, like cargo, like insignificant objects to be sorted and filed away. The Drexian Empire reduced to logistics. Mars appeared ahead, a red sphere growing larger. 40 ships remained, then 34. Ralph's flagship shuddered as something massive shifted nearby. A displacement ring, 50 kilometers across, materialized beside them. Energy crackled along its surface. "Evasive maneuvers," Ralph ordered. The flagship Dove, 2 escort ships, did not react fast enough. They touched the ring's field and vanished without sound or flash, simply gone. 27 ships broke through into Earth's orbital space. Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, all passed in desperate flight. The fleet had been reduced to survivors. The pride of the Drexian military now numbered fewer than a planetary defense force. Earth filled the viewscreen. Blue oceans, white clouds, green continents, beautiful and deadly. Ralph had never seen such a perfect trap. Appear weak, let enemies come, remove them with invisible hands. "Sir, the attacks have stopped," Pell reported. Ralph checked his sensors. She was right, the displacement rings had vanished. Empty space surrounded them. Status: 23 ships including our flagship. We are in orbit above Earth's moon. No hostiles detected. No weapons lock. Nothing. Why would they stop now? Ralph wondered aloud. His answer came immediately. Every screen on the bridge flickered. A human face appeared. Male, middle-aged, wearing a simple gray uniform. His eyes held the kind of calm that came from absolute confidence. "I am Defense Coordinator Wilson of Earth's Orbital Command. You are now inside our secondary defense perimeter. The automated systems have ceased operation because you require human judgment." Ralph found his voice. "You attacked us without provocation. We demand." "You crossed a clearly marked boundary after explicit warning. We did not attack you. We processed you." Wilson's expression never changed. "Your fleet has been reduced from 200 ships to 23. Do you wish to continue this conversation from a position of demands?" The bridge fell silent. Ralph felt the weight of his failure crushing down. "What happened to my ships, my crews?" Wilson touched something off-screen. A new image appeared. Hundreds of Drexian warships floating in deep space. Intact, whole. They are 40,000 light-years from here. Life support engaged. Crews in suspended animation. They have 200 years of supplies. "You could have destroyed us," Ralph said quietly. "Yes, easily, but Earth does not make war on confused travelers. You ignored warnings. We removed you. Your people will wake in 5 decades and find their way home, or they can remain in exile. Their choice." Pell stepped forward. "What are you?" Wilson's expression softened slightly. "We are humans. We marked our territory. We built defenses. We chose mercy over massacre. The question now is what you are. Invaders who learn, or fools who repeat mistakes." Ralph looked at his remaining ships. 23 survivors from 200. Every captain had lost crew, honor, confidence. The greatest military fleet the Drexian Empire ever assembled, reduced to refugees. "We will leave," Ralph said. "We will not return." "One ship may return," Wilson replied. "Yours. The others will be displaced to neutral space near your borders, but your flagship will carry a gift." "Gift?" Ralph felt suspicion rise. "A quantum beacon, unremovable, broadcasting continuously. Every ship in the galaxy will know you violated Earth's borders. You will carry our warning home in your hull." Ralph understood. He would not be a commander anymore. He would be a monument to failure, a living reminder of what happened when someone ignored humanity's warnings. Wilson's image faded. "Godspeed, Commander Ralph. We hope you learn from this." Ralph's flagship limped through the invisible corridor that humanity opened for them. Behind, 22 Drexian warships vanished in gentle flashes of light. Displaced to neutral space, Wilson had said, allowed to go home without their commander, allowed to tell the truth without his presence contradicting them. The quantum beacon embedded itself in the ship's core during the journey back. Ralph felt it happen through the vibrations in the deck plates. Engineers rushed to the reactor room and returned with pale faces. The beacon sat inside the main power matrix. Removing it would destroy the ship. The humans had performed surgery on his vessel while it flew through space. "It is broadcasting our shame to the entire galaxy," Pell said quietly. Ralph nodded. They passed back through Neptune's orbit. The displacement rings revealed themselves now. Thousands of them. Massive structures that curved through space in geometric patterns. They formed a sphere around Earth's system, each ring capable of removing entire fleets from existence. "They let us see them now," Ralph observed. "They want us to understand." "Understand what?" "The mercy they could have hidden forever. Let us think our ships were destroyed by mysterious forces. Instead, they show us the truth. Our people are alive. The rings are real. Humanity chose not to kill us." His flagship exited the system. The rings faded from sensors, but data packets downloaded automatically to every Drexian computer. Detailed specifications, power requirements, theoretical mathematics. Humanity was teaching them exactly how the displacement technology worked. "Why would they give us their secrets?" Pell asked. The science officer spoke up. "These are not complete specifications. Look at the power source calculations. They show what is needed but not how to generate it. They are proving the technology exists while ensuring we cannot replicate it." Ralph understood. Another message. "We are so far ahead that sharing partial secrets poses no threat. Learn from this. Respect this." The journey home took 3 weeks. During that time, Ralph watched his crew change. Fear transformed into understanding. Shame evolved into respect. They had touched something greater than themselves and survived through humanity's deliberate choice. When they finally reached Drexian space, military command hailed them immediately. "Flagship Dominion's Edge, you are 2 weeks overdue. Report status." Ralph took a breath. "This is Commander Ralph. I am transmitting a full report. Prepare for emergency council meeting." Silence followed. Then, "Commander, our sensors detect an unknown quantum signature broadcasting from your ship. Explain." "That signature is the reason for the council meeting. Do not attempt to remove it. Do not approach my ship with any weapons active. I will explain everything." The Drexian High Command assembled in their war room within hours. 12 generals, the supreme leader, various advisors. Ralph stood before them and told his story. He left nothing out. Every failure, every miscalculation, every moment of terror as ships vanished. "You expect us to believe humans, primitive humans, possess technology centuries beyond our own?" General Cross demanded. "I expect you to scan my ship," Ralph replied. "The beacon proves everything." They did. Drexian scientists swarmed over the flagship. They found the beacon. They tried to remove it. They failed. They analyzed its broadcasts and discovered something worse than shame. The beacon transmitted detailed scans of every Drexian military installation, defense platforms, fleet positions, colony locations, everything. The data updated in real time. Supreme Leader Drath listened to the reports in his throne room. Ralph stood at attention while scientists explained the implications. "This quantum beacon connects to Earth's network," the chief scientist said. "Through it, they can see everything within 1,000 light years of this ship. And that is just what we can detect. The actual range may be unlimited. They tagged us, Drath said slowly, like scientists tag migrating animals. Yes, Supreme Leader, and the beacon cannot be jammed, blocked, or destroyed without destroying the ship itself. Drath looked at Ralph. You brought this into the heart of our empire. They put it there knowing we would bring it home, Ralph replied. They wanted us to understand. They know where we live. They know what we have. They could displace our entire civilization if they chose. Why have they not? Drath asked. Because we left their territory. We were tested and we failed, but we learned. Humanity does not want conquest. They want security. They want to be left alone. General Cross slammed his fist on the table. We cannot let one defeat dictate our entire strategy. It was not a defeat, Ralph said quietly. Defeat implies we fought. We were simply removed, like dust, like nothing. The room fell silent. Every military officer present understood the implications. The Drexian Empire had built its reputation on overwhelming force. Now they had encountered a power that made force irrelevant. Supreme Leader Drath made his decision. Effective immediately, Earth's system is classified as forbidden territory. No Drexian ship will approach within 10 light years. Commander Ralph, you will be reassigned to our intelligence division. Your new mission is to learn everything possible about humanity. And if other empires ignore this warning, Cross asked, then they will learn what we learned, or they will vanish like our ships did. Drath stood. Send messages to all allied governments. Include full documentation. The galaxy must know what guards Earth. Ralph bowed and left the war room. His career as a fleet commander had ended. His new career as humanity's reluctant ambassador had begun. In his quarters that night, he looked at star maps and traced trade routes. Ships were already rerouting around human space, not because humanity demanded it, not because of treaties or threats, simply because no one wanted to cross that invisible line and face the same choice Ralph had faced. Turn back or proceed to extinction. The entire galaxy was learning that humanity had marked their borders very clearly, and the price for ignoring those borders was not death. It was something worse: exile, shame, the knowledge that you had been evaluated and found wanting, that mercy had been granted not from kindness but from contempt. 6 months passed since Ralph returned home carrying humanity's mark. The quantum beacon never stopped broadcasting. Every ship that came within sensor range of his vessel received detailed information about Earth's defensive capabilities. More importantly, they received his testimony. Ralph now lived in a military research facility outside the capital city. His quarters overlooked a training ground where young Drexian soldiers practiced combat maneuvers. They would never face humans in battle. The Empire had made certain of that. Ambassador Liss from the Thorian Collective arrived on a diplomatic shuttle. She was the 15th official visitor this month. Everyone wanted to meet the commander who had touched Earth's borders and lived to tell about it. Thank you for seeing me, Liss said as she settled into a chair in Ralph's office. Her species resembled tall insects with crystalline exoskeletons. The collective is considering an expedition into that region of space. We need to understand what we might encounter. Ralph pulled up holographic displays, images of the displacement rings, mathematical formulas, testimony from his crew. What do you want to know? Everything. Start with the technology. Our scientists claim quantum displacement on that scale is impossible. Your scientists are wrong. I watched it happen. 200 ships reduced to 23. No weapons fire. No explosions. They simply ceased to exist in our space and began existing somewhere else. Liss leaned forward. But where is the power source? The calculations show you would need to harvest an entire star's energy output for centuries just to displace a single ship. We do not know. That is the terrifying part. Humanity operates technology we cannot even theorize about properly. They appear primitive because they want to appear primitive. Why? Ralph had asked himself that question countless times. Psychology. Imagine you are the strongest person in a crowded room. Do you announce it, challenge everyone, or do you remain quiet and let fools reveal themselves? You are saying humanity tests visitors, sees who respects boundaries and who does not. Exactly. We failed the test. Now we carry the mark. Every civilization in the galaxy knows what we attempted. Let's examine the quantum beacon data. This is remarkable. They are not just tracking your ship, they are sending a message through it. Several messages. First, respect borders. Second, we possess power you cannot comprehend. Third, we choose mercy over massacre. Fourth, do not test us again. The collective has no intention of approaching Earth's territory, Liss assured him. But we need to update our stellar navigation charts. How large is their defensive perimeter? Ralph showed her the maps his people had created. Based on sensor data, the displacement rings extend approximately 15 billion kilometers from Earth. That encompasses their entire star system and creates a defensive sphere unprecedented in galactic history. 15 billion kilometers of active defense, the resources required. Dwarf anything our civilization could produce. Yes. Liss sat back. We detected something else in your beacon's transmissions, references to a previous conflict, something that happened to humanity 800 years ago. Ralph nodded. Defense Coordinator Wilson mentioned it briefly. Earth was nearly invaded by another species. The humans call it the First Contact War. They won but barely. The experience changed them. Changed them how? They decided never to be vulnerable again. So they built their fortress. While the galaxy watched them slowly expand into nearby systems with primitive colony ships, they were actually constructing the most advanced defensive network anyone has ever seen. It took them 8 centuries. 800 years of secret preparation, Liss said softly. That level of patience and planning is uniquely human, apparently. Most species would have announced their power immediately, used it for conquest or intimidation. Humans kept it hidden until someone threatened them. Then they activated their defense and waited. A young Drexian officer knocked and entered. Sir, Ambassador Liss, forgive the interruption. We have received an emergency transmission from the Corvan Empire. They launched an attack fleet toward Earth yesterday. Ralph felt his blood freeze. How many ships? 300. The Corvans ignored our warnings. They claimed we were lying about Earth's defenses to protect trade routes. Liss stood quickly. When will they reach the boundary? They are already there, Ambassador. We are receiving their final transmissions now. The officer activated a wall screen. Static-filled images showed Corvan warships approaching Neptune's orbit. The same automated warning played. The Corvans laughed it off. Their admiral gave a speech about Corvan superiority. Then the ships began vanishing, faster than Ralph's fleet had. The displacement rings revealed themselves in full view, thousands of massive structures operating in perfect coordination. 300 Corvan warships disappeared in less than 6 minutes. Silence filled Ralph's office. The last transmission showed the Corvan admiral's face twisted in horror and disbelief. "What have we done?" he whispered. Then nothing. "They did not even slow down," the young officer said. "Earth's defenses processed 300 ships as easily as they processed 200, probably easier. The system is learning, becoming more efficient." Liss turned to Ralph. "Will humanity return those ships like they did with yours?" "Eventually, they will give the Corvans the same choice, learn or remain in exile. But the Corvan Empire will suffer the same shame we did. Another beacon installed, another warning broadcast to the galaxy." The officer saluted and left. Liss looked at the empty screen where Corvan ships had been moments before. How many empires need to learn this lesson? "As many as it takes," Ralph replied. Humanity has shown they will not change their approach. Cross the boundary, ignore the warning, and you get removed. Clean, simple, absolute. The collective will adjust our trade routes immediately. We will inform all member species to avoid that region entirely. Wise choice. Liss moved toward the door, then paused. Commander Ralph, one final question. Do you hate them, the humans? Ralph considered this. He had lost his career, his reputation, his honor. The beacon in his old flagship broadcast his failure constantly. But hate? No, I understand them. They set clear rules. They enforced those rules. They showed mercy when they could have shown destruction. I hate myself for ignoring their warnings. I hate my own arrogance. But humanity, they are simply doing what any intelligent species would do, protecting their home. The Galactic Council convened in emergency session 3 months after the Corvin incident. Representatives from 47 civilizations gathered in the Great Hall orbiting the neutral world of Paxton 4. Ralph attended as the Drexian Empire's expert on human defensive capabilities. Council Speaker Morven, an elderly Paxtonian, addressed the assembly. We gather to discuss the situation surrounding Earth and its territorial boundaries. 2 major military fleets have now vanished after crossing human space. We must determine an appropriate response. Ambassador Tellis from the Merchant Coalition spoke first. The humans threaten galactic commerce. Our trade routes have been disrupted. Shipping costs have increased 30% as vessels route around their territory. Disrupted by whom? Ralph asked from his seat. Did humanity close your routes, or did you close them yourselves out of fear? Tellis glared at him. You defend the species that humiliated your empire. I state facts. Humanity established a boundary. They warned anyone who approached. We ignored them. We suffered consequences. Those are not threats. Those are results of our own choices. Liss stood. The Thorian Collective supports Commander Ralph's assessment. We have reviewed all available data. Humanity has not expanded beyond their single star system. They have not attacked shipping lanes. They have not made demands. They exist peacefully inside their declared borders. Peacefully? General Vorn from the Corvin Empire rose angrily. They took 300 of our ships. Our people are missing. Your people are alive, Ralph corrected. Displaced to deep space with 200 years of life support. Humanity specifically chose not to kill them. Where are they? I cannot tell you exact coordinates, but I can tell you they are intact and recoverable. If you wish to mount a rescue mission, humanity will likely allow it, outside their borders. Morven raised one hand for silence. We have attempted to contact Earth through official channels. They have not responded to diplomatic requests. This concerns the Council greatly. A new voice spoke from the chamber's entrance. Perhaps you should try the correct channels. Everyone turned. A human walked into the hall, male, wearing a simple gray uniform with no decorations. Ralph recognized him immediately from the screens of his flagship. Defense Coordinator Wilson, Ralph said. Wilson nodded to him. Commander, good to see you are well. He approached the council platform. I apologize for the dramatic entrance. Earth does not have official council representation. We were not invited to this discussion about ourselves. Morven recovered his composure. You are welcome to speak, Coordinator Wilson. We have many questions. Then ask. I am here to clarify Earth's position. Tellis stood again. Why have you not responded to our diplomatic messages? Because you sent them to our colony administration offices. The people managing farming settlements on Mars. They forwarded everything to appropriate departments. Bureaucracy takes time. We are not trying to be difficult. We are simply organized differently than you expect. Why do you refuse to join the Galactic Council? Morven asked. We were never asked. The Council formed 4,000 years ago. Earth did not have space travel then. When we achieved spaceflight, we were busy building defenses. Now we are content with our borders. Why would we join political structures that do not serve our interests? Vorn stepped forward. You took our ships without provocation. Wilson turned to face him. General Vorn, your fleet crossed a clearly marked boundary after receiving explicit warnings. You broadcast messages calling humans primitive vermin that needed extermination. Your admiral declared his intention to claim Earth as a Corvan colony world. These are your own recorded transmissions. Would you call that unprovoked? The chamber fell silent. Vorn sat down slowly. Earth's position is simple, Wilson continued. We marked our territory, we provided warnings, we built defenses. Anyone who respects those boundaries has nothing to fear from us. Anyone who crosses them gets removed. We do not negotiate with invaders. Removed but not killed, Liss observed. Correct, killing is permanent. Killing creates martyrs and blood feuds. Displacement is reversible. We can return those ships anytime we choose, or their governments can retrieve them from deep space. We are not monsters. We are defenders. Morven leaned forward. The Council has records indicating Earth suffered a major conflict approximately 8 centuries ago. Can you provide details? Wilson's expression darkened. Yes, the species called themselves the Racks. They arrived in 12 warships. They demanded Earth's surrender. When we refused, they destroyed our orbital stations and targeted population centers. 40 million humans died in the first attack. The chamber grew very quiet. We fought back with everything we had. Nuclear weapons, kinetic strikes, desperation. We won, but it cost us dearly. Every nation on Earth united for the first time in our history. We made a vow. Never again would we be vulnerable. Never again would we beg for mercy from invaders. So you built your defense grid, Ralph said. We built more than a defense grid. We built a philosophy, appear weak. Let threats reveal themselves. Remove them cleanly. Show mercy to demonstrate strength. We spent 800 years perfecting this approach. Tellus asked, why appear weak? Why not announce your power? Because announcing power invites challenges. Appearing weak invites tests. Tests we can control and survive. Challenges from equals might destroy us. We are not invincible. We are simply very well prepared for specific scenarios. Wilson looked around the chamber. Earth wants peaceful coexistence. We want trade, cultural exchange, scientific cooperation. But we want it on our terms. Inside our borders, we are sovereign. Outside our borders, we are cautious neighbors. Accept this and we have no problems. Morven consulted with other council members. Finally, he spoke. The council proposes formal recognition of Earth's territorial boundaries, a zone extending 15 billion kilometers from your star. All member species will respect this border. That is acceptable, Wilson said. In exchange, we will establish a proper diplomatic mission. No more messages to colony administrators. And the displaced ships will be returned in 50 years as scheduled. Crews will be awakened and provided with resources to reach home. Consider it an educational experience about respecting boundaries. Vorn stood again. 50 years, that is unacceptable. Then mount a rescue mission. We will provide coordinates. Retrieve your people yourself. But they stay in suspension until the 50-year mark. That is the price of your admiral's arrogance. Wilson departed as suddenly as he arrived. The council chamber erupted in discussion. Ralph watched the human leave and felt something like respect grow stronger. 5 years after the council meeting, Ralph published his comprehensive study on human defensive psychology. The document became required reading in every major military academy across the galaxy. It analyzed not just the technology, but the philosophy behind Earth's approach to security. His office now occupied a corner of the Drexian Strategic Institute. Windows overlooked the capital city where evening lights began flickering on. Pell entered carrying a data tablet. Commander, we have received a message from Earth. Coordinator Wilson requests a meeting with you. personally. Ralph looked up in surprise. Did he say why? Only that it concerns your research. He will be at the neutral zone station next week. Ralph traveled to the meeting uncertain what to expect. The neutral zone station orbited between Drexian and human space. It had become a hub for quiet diplomacy after the Council officially recognized Earth's borders. Wilson waited in a simple conference room. He looked the same as 5 years ago. Calm, professional, utterly confident. Commander Ralph, thank you for coming. Coordinator, your message was cryptic. Intentionally, what I have to say is not for public record yet. Wilson gestured to a chair. I read your research, all 600 pages, quite thorough. I tried to be honest about what happened, what we learned. You were, perhaps, too honest. You revealed something we were not certain anyone would notice. Ralph felt concern rise. What did I reveal? Wilson activated a holographic display. It showed Ralph's tactical analysis of the displacement rings. You included speculation about the ring's actual age. Your metallurgists examined the sensor recordings and found evidence of significant wear. The structures have been there for centuries, maybe longer. I saw no reason to hide that observation. No reason except it reveals a secret we kept successfully for 800 years. Those rings are not 800 years old, Commander. They are 4,000 years old. Ralph felt his world shift. That is impossible. You did not have space flight 4,000 years ago. Earth did not, but humans existed elsewhere. A small population left Earth 6,000 years ago using generation ships. They settled on a distant world. They developed advanced technology. When they learned Earth faced invasion by the Racks, they returned and installed the defense grid. You are saying humans already had an interstellar civilization. Had past tense. The colony world was destroyed by natural disaster, solar flare. Everyone died, but before they died they gave Earth the tools to survive. The displacement technology came from them. We simply maintained and expanded it. Ralph sat back. Why tell me this? Because your research comes close to revealing it anyway. Better you hear the truth from us than piece it together and publish incorrect conclusions. Earth wants transparency with species we respect. You earned that respect. By losing. By learning. By teaching others what you learned. By helping prevent more conflicts. Wilson paused. We are offering you a position, official liaison between Earth and the Drexian Empire. You would be the first alien allowed inside our defensive perimeter since the rings activated. Ralph could not find words. Permission to enter Earth's borders, to see the home world, to understand humans directly. It was an honor beyond anything he had imagined. Why me? You understand us. You made mistakes but admitted them. You turned failure into education. Those are qualities we value, plus you still carry our quantum beacon. We can always track you, trust but verify. Ralph laughed despite himself. The beacon, I almost forgot about it. We can remove it if you accept this position. New role, new start. I accept. Over the next months, Ralph became the first non-human to visit Earth in 4,000 years. The displacement rings opened a corridor for his diplomatic shuttle. He saw the massive structures up close. They were even more impressive than sensor data suggested. Earth itself overwhelmed him. Billions of humans living on one world, thousands of cultures, hundreds of languages, diversity that the Drexian Empire had suppressed in conquered populations. Here it thrived. Wilson showed him the defense grid's control center. Deep under the lunar surface, massive computer systems monitoring every approach to Earth's system, human operators who could override the automated responses. We always have the final say, Wilson explained. The machines process threats, but humans judge intentions. That is why your ships were not destroyed. We saw your confusion, your fear, your surrender attempt. The machines would have eliminated you. we chose mercy. Ralph looked at the displays showing peaceful space around Earth. What happens when someone develops technology that can counter the rings? Then we adapt. We have contingency systems, backups. Humanity learned long ago that single points of failure lead to extinction. We build redundancy into everything. You are still afraid, even with all this power. Fear is wisdom when you have faced extinction. We are not paranoid, we are careful. There is a difference. Years passed. Ralph's position grew into a full embassy. Other species followed. Earth slowly opened to diplomatic relations while maintaining absolute control over its defensive perimeter. The displaced ships from the Drexian and Corvan fleets were eventually returned as promised. Crews woke after 50 years in suspension and went home changed. They told stories of humanity's precision, the careful monitoring of their suspended animation, the supplies provided for their return journey. Even in exile, humans had shown care for their captives. The galaxy learned its lesson gradually. Earth's borders became as permanent as gravity. Trade routes adjusted. Navigation charts marked the human territory clearly. Children learned in school about the species that defended themselves so effectively that conquest became impossible. Ralph grew old in Earth's service. His final report, published shortly before his death, concluded with simple words. Humanity did not seek to rule us. They simply refused to be ruled. In that choice, they found a strength greater than any empire has achieved. They chose to be respected rather than feared. In doing so, they earned both. The quantum beacon that had marked his ship for so many years was finally removed and placed in a museum. A reminder of the day the galaxy learned that some borders existed not because of weakness behind them, but because of unimaginable strength choosing restraint. Earth remained peaceful, isolated, and absolutely secure. The displacement rings continued their eternal watch, and the warning played endlessly for anyone who approached. Turn back, this is your only notice. Proceed at your own extinction. Some listened, some learned, and humanity remained free.